Are you training your arms like a madman, yet they're still sticks? I'm about to show you why. All right, guys, if you're like me and every other dude on the planet, we all want bigger arms. Why? Because it stretches the shirt sleeves out. When everyone says, oh, do you train? What do most people do? They're like, oh, make a bicep. So if you pop that arm up, you want your sleeves to be tight and your arms to be bulging out of it, right? It just looks badass. There's no other way to say it. Big arms are impressive. I grew up playing football, and for some reason, I always gravitated towards watching guys like Brian Dawkins come out and their arms just looking like they are huge and thinking, man, that looks so cool. So, I don't know, maybe it's all the Arnold stuff that I watched as a kid, but I absolutely always was obsessed with having big jacked arms, and that's why we train them so damn hard. And if you're like me, you want to make every minute in the gym count. And I want to save you time and years that I had to find experimenting in the gym, struggling with progress, cut all those mistakes out for you, and that way you can start growing today. So let's get to mistake number one, which is you have poor exercise selection. All right, I know I'm gonna break some old school guys' hearts here, but if you're doing things like barbell curls that are beating up your wrists and elbows, and even though it may not hurt now, if you bang arms, say 52 times in a year, once a week, or if you're doing them twice, that's 104 times you're training them a year. Eventually, if you do, let's say 5 sets of 10, or let's just say you're only doing 3 sets of 10, that's 30 reps, potentially twice a week, that you're hammering your elbows and wrists in a negative way. If you don't think you're gonna have tendonitis or sore forearms or sore wrists in a matter of a year or two, you're crazy. And then what happens when your arms, your wrists, your forearms, your bicep tendons start hurting? You can't train them as hard because you're scared you're either gonna rip it off the bone or you have zero connection to that muscle because you're in so much pain. So exercises that I tend to tell my clients to stay away from are things like barbell curls. Another one that I don't specifically like is free weight dips. And I know you're gonna say, Chris, that's an old school hardcore exercise. You're right. When I do dips, I'm doing them mostly for my chest and my front delts. If I'm gonna do dips for my triceps, I wanna get locked into a machine where I can press straight down, I get no other activation. So to me, a machine dip is gonna outweigh, for arm training, arm growth specifically, for most people, way better than a freestanding dip. Even though it's a hardcore, cool exercise, and you'll see me do those for chest, I do not like them for triceps. So again, those tend to stem from what I would view as some basic exercises. Let me give you another one, the dumbbell curl. I love dumbbell curls, but if you're slinging 60, 70, 80 pound dumbbell curls, and I've seen some guys doing hundreds who have no business doing them, that's a trash exercise, throw it out. You're ego lifting at that point. You've seen me curl dumbbells anywhere in the 20 to 40 range. If your arms are smaller than mine and you're doubling that but don't feel any bicep pump or activation, drop that weight down, squeeze the piss out of those biceps. So exercise selection is mistake number one. And what I'm gonna piggyback off of, but make a quick point before I move on to 2, is if you don't feel an exercise in the target muscle, or if it hurts a joint, you're choosing a wrong exercise. I don't care who told you to do it, and that includes me. If I say, oh, do this Swiss bar skull crusher laying on the ground, and it wrecks your elbows and you feel nothing in your triceps, throw it out. So if you don't feel it in the desired muscle, or it's wrecking your joint, throw it in the trash. Mistake number 2, poor exercise sequencing. That means the order in which you're doing the exercises. So what I found years ago, for me, I love doing triceps first before biceps. I get a better pump, I get a better feel, and it takes me a lot less time to warm up than when I start with biceps. When I start with biceps, for some reason, it gives me this weird achy feeling in the lower portion of my arm that I don't like. But if I do triceps first and then go into biceps, I have zero of that. So I've always found personally that I like triceps before biceps. That's one of the big things that John and I disagreed on. He preferred biceps before triceps because when he started with tris, it would wreck his elbows, where he liked to go into triceps fully warm and sweaty from a bicep workout, and that's what he liked. So pretty funny there. You have 2 guys that believe in a lot of the same things, but the exercise principles just need to be flipped. And that's because it comes from personal individuality. So you have to do what feels best for you. Not for me, not for Chaz, not for anyone else around you. Do what feels best for you. So when I think about sequencing, I want to think about that portion of which portion of your arm training comes first. Now, there are some guys, and I do like this as well, is alternating between tricep, bicep, or even doing supersets, where I say I do a tricep push down, superset with a rope curl, and you go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. That feels great for me too. But if you notice, I'm still hitting a tricep exercise before I do a bicep exercise. So you can either do it as a superset or standalone, just alternate back and forth. Both those feel great. So tinker around with those 4 options and see what feels best for you. Now, let's break down specifically within a workout what I mean by exercise sequencing. If you're starting the day out with triceps on a close grip bench press, a skull crusher, overhead dumbbell extension, to me, you're just asking for an injury. If you don't do 1 at minimum, 2, maybe even 3 in my mind, ideally, cable exercises before you do the heavy free weight exercises or skull crushers, to me, that's just asking for an injury. I believe that in my heart. I've seen it way too many times with guys that I've worked with tear the tricep right off the bone because they're like, Chris, I want to do skull crushers when I'm fresh and the strongest. Okay, cool, bro. Awesome. He has 3/4 on an easy bar. Bam, tricep tendon pops. And guess what? You're not training arms for at least 6 months. Be smart. Do the cable stuff and then do the heavy skull crushers. Now, on the flip side for biceps, to me, I view the preacher curl very similar to the way I view skull crushers, close grip bench press, or dips. I'm gonna put preacher curls after my biceps are fully warmed up. It is the most dangerous, in my opinion, exercise for biceps. I've just seen so many injuries, especially where people come down, overstretch, and then bam, that bicep starts here and rolls up into their front delt. Horrible, nobody wants that. Arms never look the same. You ever see those guys that have a big space right here and a little knot of muscle, and 9 times out of 10, they tore their bicep. Now, some people's biceps are set up that way genetically, that it's connect in a weird spot, but for the most part, if you see guys with biceps that are balled up like that, just an injury. So, exercise sequencing for biceps, I tend to like a cable curl, a rope curl, or then I'll do my preacher curl. And it doesn't matter if it's a free weight, machine, dumbbell, easy bar, doesn't matter. I'm gonna put preacher curls at minimum 3rd in rotation. And then if I'm gonna do, say, 4 exercises for biceps, I'll finish with a stretching exercise, like you see me do hundreds of times with a stretch curl. So exercise sequencing tends to really screw with people because they think they wanna put the power exercises first, where I really encourage you. You're a bodybuilder. You're training for pump, feel, and muscle growth. You aren't training for your ego. Like a power lifter needs to move weight. No one cares if I curl a 20-pound dumbbell or the 50 or the 100 when I step on stage. When I pop my arms up to do a front double or a most muscular or a side chest, they're like, is his arm small or big? They don't care how I got there. So again, be smart, take your ego out of it. Number 3 mistake, you aren't training for a pump or you aren't getting a pump. To me, that's how you train arms. You don't come in here and just sling and bang weight mindlessly, not having a connection with it. I've very rarely seen people grow good arms like that who weren't genetic freaks. Like Lee Priest, Phil Heath could train arms with their eyes closed, maybe not even train arms at all, and they'll still have 22 to 24 inch arms. 9 times out of 10, that's not you and that's not me. So we gotta play by different rules. Have to be smart. You have to get a pump in your arms if you want them to grow. You have to get that skin so tight that it feels like it's gonna rip. Like it should be painful on an arm day. When you train arms, it should hurt, it should burn, you should wanna quit. That fascia stretching, the muscle's so pumped, it feels like it's gonna give you a stretch mark. When you're training arms, to me, that's how you do it. If you're one of those people who come in here and progressive overload it and your arms grow, stay at it. Ignore what I'm saying. But if you're stuck with small arms and you're training progressive overload, try switching it. What do you have to lose? Your arms suck now. You have nothing to lose, you have 0. Your arms are terrible, they're 15 inches. Try doing pump and see if you can get them to 16, 17, 18, maybe over 20. It's at least worth experimenting with. And then you may end up needing to go back to progressive overload, I don't know. Just depends what works for you. So get a pump for arms, that's mistake number 3. All right, number 4, your reps are too low. And for years I was guilty of this. I've done curls in the 6 to 8 range. I've done skull crushers in the 6 to 8 range. I've done dips with chains, with a dip belt, 6 to 8 reps. All that did was beat my joints up. What I needed to do was lower the weight, squeeze the intended muscle and the intended muscle only, and get a huge pump. And I'm gonna achieve that the most within the 10 to 20 rep range. Now I know that's a big range, it is. I honestly tend to more like 12 to 15 if I had to put a number on it. But 20 I like too. So 12 to 15 if I put a number on it, as many as 20, no less than 10. If I get less than 10, I'm dropping the weight and doing more reps, okay? If you ever see me in here and I do curls and I only get 8 reps, I'm gonna pull that pin immediately, drop it 20 pounds and get at least 4 to 7 more. Because I wanna get that rep range higher, I need a pump. That's what I'm after, that's what I'm chasing. Now, do I wanna progressively get more weight and lift more weight as I'm in here? Yes, of course. I wanna move more weight, but I wanna move it with perfect form, and I wanna move it with the intended muscle. Not my hips, not my glutes, not my low back, not my front delts. So, if you're below 8 reps when you're training arms, for the next month, I have a challenge for you. Take them to 12 to 15 and let me know what they feel like and look like. Put a tape measure around them and see if you get any growth. And then get back to me. I promise they'll be bigger. They will definitely look bigger. All right, number 5. and probably my favorite because I made a whole freaking video on it. And we'll get Chaz to tag it here. Why I hate push-pull legs. And it stems from your arms aren't getting enough direct work, not being pre-exhausted. So what does that mean? That means if I come in here and I do 2 pull downs, I do 2 heavy rows and I say a rack pull, and then I try to go do my curls, I'm tired. If I really worked hard on those 5 exercises for back, or let's say I only did 4 exercises for back, if I went hard on them, there's no way I can give adequate attention to my arms. And I know people will say, Chris, it's just doing a curl. You're just curling. Trust me, it feels different. Your biceps are going into that fatigued. I don't care what you say. Now, I've had arguments on the flip. I'd say, Chris, what if I train biceps after chest? Okay, so I train, let's say I do 3 pressing and 1 fly, and that's my chest workout, and then I go do curls. I'm still gonna be tired from what I did before it. So if your arms suck, they have to be a priority. And to me, that's never gonna be a priority coming after a major body part. So if you train triceps after back, you train triceps after chest and shoulders, you train triceps after shoulders alone, they aren't getting as much and efficient work as if you have an arm day. And I know people are arguing with me, I know people are gonna give me hate on that, I don't care. For me and my clients, anytime I program them an arm day only, they all report back the same thing. That feels so much better. I can get a much better pump. I'm much more dialed in. I'm not exhausted. I'm not pre-fatigued. My pump was better. My arms are sore now. I can give more effort, energy, and attention. So to me, mistake number 5 may be the most important of all of these. If your arms are terrible, you have to have an arm day. Maybe 2 a week. I'm telling you all right now, these 5 things, if you mess up all of them, 1 of them, 2 of them, 3 of them, fix it for the next 3 months. Measure your arms today, and then the next 3 months, measure them again, see what they look like. See how much they are, how much bigger they are. If you care about your arm training, fix these 5 things, get them growing. Until next time, like, share, and subscribe. Chris TV.